You can edit.
Yeah.
All right. Just whenever you're ready.
Is it recording?
Yeah.
Hello, my name's Ryan Hart. I'm here with Ginny today, who's allowed us some of her time to answer some questions about the community and stuff. So tell us, where are you from?
I'm actually from Oklahoma.
Okay.
I'm actually from a really small town called Craig, which is really far from the capital. It's like about 2 hours away. So I grew up in a small town, and then I moved to the capital city, Oklahoma City, for college. And then that was whenever I really started to get involved with the FGC and to meet people and make connections. So that was a good time for me, I think.
Alright, yeah. No, I obviously am familiar that you're getting involved with the FGC and stuff. What is your angle on the FGC? I mean, would you consider yourself as someone who's an aspiring professional player or commentator or a member of talent, or what's your in?
I think everyone, I think everyone would love to be a pro player, and everyone always tries to improve their play. But for me, I don't necessarily see that as my future necessarily. I am more of a writer. I try to cover events to get interviews, but I also like to do commentating, and I love to do cosplay as well. So I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, I guess. I'm still looking for that one fit, but I think writing is where I would shine.
Writing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned cosplay. Which characters have you cosplayed in the past?
I've cosplayed as a gender bent bison, or like a bison doll type thing.
Okay.
You can find it on my Twitter, but that's the only one that I've done so far. But there's a Cammy and a Wonder Woman in the works. So yeah, you'll see it soon. Maybe a CEO.
So maybe an aspiring cosplay pro.
Maybe. We'll see.
All right. So in terms of writing, what sort of writing do you mean? Do you mean like covering events, or sort of like game outlines? Like what sort of writing do you mean? Creative writing for?
Well, I've done a lot of different
reviews,
things. I do write for a website called par.gg, and basically what they want me to do is cover events. So I did cover Texas Showdown, and I've covered local events as well, but I also do just general broader articles, like talking about the future of Street Fighter, is 2017 the year for esports, everything like that. And you can find all of those articles on my personal WordPress and my Twitter, which is EXT0PD0LL, if you guys want to check it out. But that's basically what I do. I kind of do everything.
Okay. So what's your, you mentioned Street Fighter and, really interesting topics with the esports there. What's your history with Street Fighter? How did you get involved?
Oh goodness. I started playing Street Fighter 7 years ago.
Okay.
And it's a really interesting story because I was in high school, I think it was 15, and we were on a band trip because I was in band. And
you were in a band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not a band, it was like the high school
I see.
marching band type thing. And we were going to, we were traveling out of state, and we went to go eat at this pizza place, and they had a Tekken 6 arcade cabinet. And it was it was a cool experience because I went back there, and all of the guys were just crowded around the arcade cabinet, just yelling and screaming, and the atmosphere was so incredible. And so I was like, oh my goodness, okay, I need to get into fighting games. And so I picked.
It was too hype.
It was too hype. And so instead of picking Tekken, I actually went to Street Fighter because I felt the characters were a little bit more vibrant, I could recognize them more easily, and so I picked it up, and I just didn't stop loving it, and so I've been playing ever since. And then, like I said, I moved to Oklahoma City for college, and then just kind of kept going from there. So yeah.
So what was your first event that you went to?
Are you talking about my first major event, or just anything? Okay, my first major event would definitely be Texas Showdown, which was this year, and it was so much fun. I loved it. It was a great experience, for sure.
Didn't you have this section where everyone was calling you Snake Eyes' girlfriend?
Yeah.
On the stream, right?
I was sitting on the front row during grand finals, and I was literally just sitting by Snake Eyes, and I know that Daryl has a girlfriend. Like everyone should know that Daryl has a girlfriend, but I'm no one's girlfriend, okay? So yeah.
Were you happy when they were calling you his girlfriend? Or?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I don't know.
I was unhappy, but it's just wrong. It's just wrong.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. But I guess it's nice that people see you as something a positive way. It wasn't like a negative.
Yeah, there weren't really any negative comments.
They weren't like slacking you off or anything. So it was a good thing.
Yeah, I think so. No one was being really disrespectful or anything.
Exactly.
So yeah, that was nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
What an intro.
Yeah, I know, right?
Your
It was
first
like,
major one intro to the community.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. Twitch chat was interesting.
I guess it must be quite a different world for you. What did you do before you got into fighting games?
What did I do before I got into fighting games? Goodness.
Obviously with your studies as well, but would you say you had a passion before the FGC?
Writing, for sure. I've always loved to write. I mean, I'm working on my novel right now.
You're working on a novel?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing a lot of things.
It's in the works, yeah. But it was always writing, and I have so many different story ideas and things like that. But I've always wanted to be a novelist, and then I started fighting games, and now that has kind of transitioned. Like, I'm still a writer, but I want to write about fighting games, and I kind of want to use that talent or skill to build the FGC, you know, by creating pieces of writing or maybe like podcasts or segments that will kind of boost our repute, you know.
Okay, so what's your gaming history before the FGC? Because you mentioned, you know, how you got involved 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Were you an avid gamer before that, or was it just you kind of jumped in from your writing experience and found gaming through the FGC?
No, I've always played games. My real dad got me a PS2 whenever Kingdom Hearts was released, and he got me that and my PlayStation 2, and so I started playing RPGs.
Right.
And then I got into, I mean, I was just RPGs, you know, for the most part. And then I started getting into, I played System Shock 1 and 2, which I really loved. And then I started getting into older games like Snatcher by Konami.
Right.
I love like cyberpunk retro games like that. And then the FGC came, you know, with that experience, and it was great, you know. And then I was playing, I started Street Fighter 4 Vanilla, and then I went back and played the Alpha games. I played all the older games because I just loved the art style and how much fun they were. And so I wanted to get, you know, a feel for what it used to be before I went on, which I think was a good thing in the long run.
Yeah, it sounds like you found a home there with what you found in fighting games. So who's your favorite character in Street Fighter?
Oh boy!
Let's hear it. We all know who it is.
Oh boy! Gotta stand by Lord Bison. Always. Always. That's why my name is Top Doll, right?
Lord Bison.
Yes.
She didn't say M. Bison, ladies and gentlemen. She said Lord Bison. Keeping it extra real in this interview.
Oh yeah.
So what's your attraction to Lord Bison?
I've always loved villains. You know, I've kind of felt heroes are always kind of bland, right? Because I mean, they're like, you know, they're the good guy and they're fighting for justice and truth and all that, which is admirable. You know, but villains always have something sexy about them, right? Like they have their own ambitions and things that they want to do, so they just go do it. And you know, I think villainy is really sexy, and I think Bison's very sexy. So yeah, cool. He's got the muscles and he's got like the attitude, you know. So yeah.
So speaking of villains in the FGC, what about a game like Injustice 2? In the DC universe, what about a game like that? Have you ever looked into that game at all?
I haven't actually got to play Injustice 2 yet. I really want to. It seems a lot of fun. Looks very much like Mortal Kombat to me. For me, though, it seems like I really like games like Street Fighter because it's very visually attractive to me. Like I feel like I can see hit confirms better in that game. Like I can tell whenever we're blocking things or whenever we get a hit. You know, it's just more visually like
appealing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so whenever like more realistic games to me, which is kind of why I understand why Street Fighter went in the direction that they did with the art style. You know, a lot of people were complaining, wishing that they had, you know, gone to the style that they were going to go to, which was more realistic. I feel like it was a better decision in the long run to go with the style that Street Fighter has always gone with, at least from my perspective, because people who aren't usually into fighting games are going to look at that and be able to see what's happening. And so from an Injustice point of view, I would love to play it, but it probably won't be, you know, something that I will continue to play.
Yeah, you probably won't play. You might have a few goes, but you're not going to play it heavily.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So now you mentioned hit confirms, and that's, you know, a very technical part of the system in Street Fighter. So how would you say the difference is between, like, you know, a female's approach and a male's approach in Street Fighter? Because there's clearly a divide in the community. It's obviously a lot more male dominated, you know, in Street Fighter. And you know, how would you say it's different, and how would you say that affects you as a female player in the community?
Oh, well, I mean, I definitely think that, first of all, the FGC is not, I mean, personally, from my experience as a woman, I don't think the FGC is sexist. I really do not think so. Every single encounter with anybody that I've had in the FGC has been really positive. Everyone has always tried to just teach me and help me, which is great. And I've never really felt like anyone has like talked down to me or like, well, you don't know this, so you know, I have to teach you because you don't know anything. It's never been like that. But there has always been like the question of, are you legit? Like, do you know what you're talking about? And so.
You said hit confirms. I'm sold. Talking about hit confirms, right?
And then there's also like, you know, are you a trap? And obviously, I mean.
Oh my days. Have people actually said, are you a trap?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, we're all girls. We're all women. You know, we're just trying to do something that we love. And I think that, you know, we need to. Well, I mean, at least that's my goal, is to also grow the FGC for females, right? I want to be a voice for them, which is why I'm really excited that Persia's doing what she's doing. You know, she's pursuing gaming full time, and she's in the FGC, which is really great, and I'm proud of her for that, and I'm proud of what Guilty's doing and what Ricky is doing. You know, like everyone, it's just really it's really encouraging. But a female perspective in the FGC, I definitely think that women play differently than men. I really do.
How do you describe the
I think, at least for me, there's a lot of anxiety, right, to perform. I feel like there's a lot of pressure. And I also think that we think about the game differently.
Right.
Like, I feel like men or guys can just kind of sit down and they just kind of get their heads in it straight away. But like for girls, I feel like we kind of have to get over the, okay, I'm playing in front of a bunch of people and I have to prove myself type thing. And so we also are a little bit anxious. Like, I know that I was training with Broly Legs, and he told me that
He's really cool.
Yes, and he told me that every time that he has trained a girl, that we are kind of anxious and we try to just mash things out instead of like trying to focus on the execution so much. Like, he just tells me every single time, slow down. Yeah. You have time to do the inputs, you know, to do the, you know, you have so many frames. And so that really helps me. So I think that with girls there's a little more anxiety, at least from my end. But once we get into it, like, you know, we're all just players trying to improve. So
that's super interesting. I once did an interview with Choco Blanca, you know, Watch's wife, and we talked about the difference between, you know, the gaming approach from men and from women. And one of the interesting things that she replied was that men are always analyzing the game based on calculated risks and estimates and looking at really specific details, you know, very, very meticulously looking at the game. Whereas females, she felt, were more emotional. You know,
that is so true.
They were more committed to their emotions when making big decisions, and they would, you know, they would do the big thing a lot easier or a lot quicker or with less thought behind it. And you know, the way she broke it down was quite interesting. Just looking at the way genders approach mentally, and you actually backed that up by saying that, you know, it's not about. Sorry, that people are saying don't be anxious, you know, don't have anxiety in what you're going to do, and it's a very emotional thing, isn't it?
It's very emotional.
Be that way. So yeah, no, I think there is that difference in the way you approach the game. I think that when the knowledge base grows, I think that gets a bit different.
Yes.
I think your decisions naturally start to take a more analytical approach because of what you know. Because you're more aware of what the risk reward means and how that affects you in the match, and you're kind of more actively pursuing ways to negate being in situations like that.
Exactly.
And yeah, and I think once you know, the level of like knowledge grows, that just elaborates itself naturally. So it's really interesting. I do like talking about stuff like that because it's something that isn't really looked at a lot, even though we do have, you know, guys that play and we have girls that play, you know, and we're all sharing this passion together. So yeah, no, it's super great. Now, I hear you also like a little bit of King of Fighters. Can you elaborate on that?
I love King of Fighters. Are you kidding me? I love that whole series.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so where did this love, which King of Fighters did this love stem from?
King of Fighters 13.
Okay.
And then, you know, King of Fighters 14 came out, and then I was like, I gotta play all the other ones. You know, that's kind of how
it's way back.
Yeah. So really love Fatal Fury. I mean, I think the characters too are vibrant, similarly to Street Fighter. That's why like King of Fighters is my second favorite fighting game series. Because they're... So
you like the art style? Is that what attracts you?
It's not necessarily, well, maybe the art style, but more like how vibrant the characters are.
Okay.
You know, that's why like Tekken was kind of like a secondary for me, just because I like to see, I like the vibrance of it. You know, I like to be able to recognize, oh, that's Chun-Li, that's Ryu. You know, I feel like with Mortal Kombat Tekken, it's a little bit harder. You know, at least for you know, me like watching. So I really like to see like, you know, recognizable things. You know, so that's why I really liked Street Fighter, and that's why I liked King of Fighters, because oh, you know, that's Terry, that's Kyo. You know, like, they're so recognizable. Yeah.
So who are your tell me your top 3 favorite KOF characters.
We talked about this earlier. I love Geese. Okay. I love Clark.
I just like those answers.
Oh yeah.
Clark's my boy. Anyone that knows anything about my KOF knows that Clark's my boy. And obviously Geese is sick, and everyone loves Geese.
Geese is great.
Who else?
Who else? That's kind of a difficult one. Who did I say? I said Geese, Clark.
I only knew about those 2. I didn't know about anyone else.
My top favorite. That's a really difficult one. I mean,
if you had to push it to top 3.
I mean, okay, can we do all games? Like, I mean, even the newest one.
Oh, like, yeah. It can be a 14 character, anyone from the KOF universe. Okay,
because, like, right now, I'm loving Antonov in King of Fighters 14, and I know that everyone's kind of bashing on him, but I actually really like him. He's super fun, he looks great, like, I like boss characters.
Yeah, you don't like him for the tier, like, you like him for like, the way he fights, right?
Yeah, and, like, his design is nice, like, his personality, you know, like, the way that he fights is really fun. I have fun with him, so I think, you know, I mean, even when everyone bashes him, I think he's fun. So, yeah.
Right. Gonna get a little bit more technical now. So in Street Fighter V, we all know that whenever there's a new balance patch, you know, 2.0, then 2.5, etc., there are, you know, nerfs and balances. Characters get buffed, then people complain or people like it or whatever. How do you feel about the way we design ourselves to be trained by tier lists, like the way we kind of look to finding out what the tiers are, and we always want to know like who's the best, who's low tier now. What do you think about that mentality on the whole?
I think it's kind of toxic, honestly. I mean, like, I do know that in Street Fighter 5, you know, it's kind of like, okay, we have characters like Laura and Guile who have all these tools, and, you know, they're considered OP or OD, you know, like Balrog, for instance. But I do think that mentality can get really toxic because you're not kind of giving yourself a chance, you know, and then you have, like, characters like Nikali, who people kind of didn't really believe in the beginning, and now, you know, like Phenom, you know, almost took Ely with Nikali, and he's a spectacular player, and they were saying, oh, you know, Nikali's actually really
Hatani,
good. Yeah.
Paris Challenge.
Yes, exactly. And then, like, you know, Ibuki, like, I mean, I think that mentality is kind of, you know, not the best, but I do think that it's just natural. People are just going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's you know, it's really informational, instructional, you know, like, we want to find out who's the strongest character in the game and why, and, you know, do we have a good matchup, do we have a bad matchup, so I mean, I kind of think it's both parts, equal parts, like, helpful, and then it can also hurt.
Yeah, I think it's quite natural to, like, look for knowledge, and we want to evolve our brain, right? We want to evolve our knowledge in something we're doing this heavily as well.
Exactly.
So I think it's normal to kind of pursue the answers, like look at why, who's the best, why, how can I use that to my advantage and stuff. And I think I agree with you about the toxicity of it, because it's really bad to not be used to using your brain to work things out.
Yeah.
And I think that in the Street Fighter, like, database of players, I think we just get used to learning from people with more experience.
Yes.
We get used to taking whatever they say as gospel. Like, okay, this person did this, it must be that way. You know?
Exactly.
And sometimes it can be that that's the case, but it might not be limited to that. It could be that with an extra few things that haven't been talked about that change a lot of the other stuff, which is usually unfolded later on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you're saying now, like Nikali, now people are on Nikali, now people are on Ibuki,
right.
You know. So yeah, I think it's one of them things where people need to, like, listen to stuff, but only as a guideline.
Yeah, only as exactly.
Yeah. It shouldn't be the be all and end all of your
exactly.
Street
It's
Fighter
kind of like,
existence.
okay, this is why this character's strong. That doesn't mean that you can't beat them.
Yeah.
If you have, you know, if you have a high skill level, whatever, or matchup knowledge. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know if maybe it's just a learning process. Maybe, you know, you have to remember as well that a lot of the players like yourself haven't been playing for that long.
Yeah.
But you seem to get it. You know, you seem to know what's up straight away. But yeah, I think that with some of the players, it might take some time to kind of just realize that actually what I know is really good.
Yeah.
You know, hang on, the stuff I know is really valuable here. And I think these kind of things now, where like time passing has shown a different truth to the game, will help people believe in themselves more when they think now, like, oh, back in the day I already thought that.
Yeah.
I knew Nikali was OP or whatever, you know.
Exactly.
I knew Nikali was a character that could win majors. So I think it's just a learning process. And I think that that's something that's happened years and years ago, where people have taken steps to work things out before as well.
Yes, exactly. And like with the whole negative energy, I feel like there's a lot of negative energy around Street Fighter 5 and this whole tier list with like Balrog being OD and stuff like that. It's just making it worse, but you need to understand, like, even Street Fighter 4 was kind of looked down upon in the beginning. So it's just like everything is evolving and changing, and we must evolve and change with the game.
Yeah, I mean, for a startup, Street Fighter 5, like, the first version was really good. You know, for like a first version. I mean, Street Fighter 4, how many iterations did that have?
Yeah,
before
exactly.
It was like a place where people would say it was balanced or whatever, you know. So yeah, I think Capcom aren't doing as bad of a job in that area as people are. You know, they're definitely not getting enough credit for some things. How do you feel about Street Fighter 5 in general? I mean, there's a lot of complaints about CFN, there's a lot of balance problems, people are talking about simplicity, like it's too easy. How do you feel about the game in general?
I mean, personally, I don't think it's as bad as everyone says that it is. I think we need to give it a chance. Okay. I do think that the netcode could be improved. I'm tired of having, you know, oh, your opponent has disconnected, you know, like, the triggers, I'm trigger. But,
sorry to cut you. There's this one point, I think it's Punko. You guys, if any of you have seen this on Event Hubs, so Punko's playing on screen.
I'm really
yeah, it's just one of them days where, like, he's probably just been out all day and he's finally gotten home and he's been thinking of Colin tactics all day and he's finally home in front of his setup, got his stick ready, and I think in the beginning he spills a drink on his stick, like a Red Bull, and you can hear him, he's clearly upset, like he's visually upset, he's like, oh no, and he gets really mad with, you know, having a wet stick on his lap or whatever. But then, like, after that, he dries off his stick or whatever and he loads up the game, and then you hear him loading it, and then you just hear the You don't see the screen. You don't see the screen. You just see him, innit? And he gets so mad. And of course, it's funny because we can all relate to that. We've all been that guy in the chair, waiting to play, eager to play, prepared for a matchup, thinking of strategy, and then just denied by the server. So it is really annoying. I do get that.
Yes.
But yeah, sorry to tell that story.
Oh no, I mean I think that could certainly be improved. And like with the new CFN changes, I mean I know that people are still complaining about the servers being really bad. But I do like the new CFN changes, like the blacklisting and the adding friends. It's a little bit more social. I didn't like necessarily adding players to my favorites list, but I do like the concept of a friends list. And then like with Street Fighter 5 being more simple, I wouldn't say it's more simple. I would just say it's different. Every Street Fighter game is different. Every Street Fighter game has different tools. I mean, you do have your things like view reversal to get you out of a situation that is not optimal for you, but again, it can still be blocked by the opponent. So just, I mean, I would just say that it is different. It is not too simple, just different.
So just approach it with a fresh mentality.
Exactly.
Don't bring your old baggage with you from other games and just like take it.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's really good advice. I'd say that for any game as well, even if it does relate to something you've played before. I definitely, because there's times where tactics from an old game can work on a new game.
Yes.
But like with evolution and time, you learn that it's not the optimal way to play that game. It's just what worked for them.
Exactly.
It's the same with an iteration of a game where they've kept the basics of a system. Like so, Tekken's a good example. Now we've had Tekken 7 released, and Tekken 7 players might start using Tekken 6 or Tekken Tag 2 strategy because that was the last game they played. Which is fine.
Yes.
But always have an idea of that not being the ultimate form of how you play the game, and I think that helps you mentally as well evolve in making strategy and stuff and tactics. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. So you mentioned that you also so we've been you've been a writer, you're obviously heavily involved in the FGC with multiple fighting games, and you're also doing modeling as well.
Yes.
Okay, so what kind of model? How long have you been doing that? Tell us about that.
I do strictly print. I do not like runway shows at all.
Okay.
Runway shows can be really tricky because
what shows?
Runway shows.
Oh, runway shows.
So if you're on the runway, I mean, at least for me, it's a little bit more stressful. If you do print modeling, which is just pictures, it's a little bit more laid back. I mean, obviously you're on a schedule. But
so you as Ken in one, you as Cammy in another one, you as Bison.
Well, and it's just like that experience that you get because with runway modeling, there's the pressure of the day. Are we on schedule? Is hair and makeup, doing everything on time? Do you like your hair and makeup? Are you happy with what you're wearing? Because you have to look on the runway and then act like you like it, obviously. But with print modeling, it's a little bit more laid back. You kind of have more control over what you do. So I would definitely say that, I am, which is why I'm strictly print. I really like print. But yeah, that's what I do.
So how much influence do you actually have on what kind of hairstyle you'll have to wear or what you're wearing? I mean, obviously, I'm sure that they're already outlining an outfit for you.
Well, it really depends. I mean, it really does depend because sometimes, that's usually your agent will tell you, come in full makeup and hair, or don't come barefaced, no hair.
Okay.
And it just
no hair.
Well, yeah, just snatch your wig right off.
Come in bald, please.
Yes. But it just
do a Kojak shot for you.
It really just depends on Usually they'll let you know. So yeah, but I really enjoy modeling. It's really fun. It's a good way to express yourself, and it's just something that it is an art form. I mean, I think it is, and I wouldn't say I'm like a perfect model or anything, but it is just something that I do and I really enjoy.
Okay, and so how long have you been doing that now?
Only about a year, which is why I don't want to say, oh yeah, I'm so good at this and I know everything. But
well, I guess everything's a learning process.
Exactly.
But it's something you enjoy doing. So do you see that taking off, being something you do long term?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I'm continuing to do it. I'm continuing to get gigs, things like that. So I could see that taking off in the near future. So.
Your Lord Bison tactics are going to suffer if you're always on the runway and doing print stuff.
True, that's true. But what is more important, FGC or modeling? I would have to say FGC.
Oh, she's got a priority. I like that. All right, that's brilliant. So, so then we've got modeling, editorial, writing stuff, FGC stuff. Tell us a bit about your background. Do you have any siblings?
I have one stepbrother. Other than that, I'm an only child, and I don't see my stepbrother often. But he's a really cool guy. He's off doing his own thing, and our age gap was really big, so we never really hung out that much. So basically, I'm just an only child. But I do have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
That I
you got the FGC.
Exactly.
You got a world of friends now.
Exactly. So I'm pretty. I wouldn't say family is, I mean, obviously I love my family, but I think the FGC and like my future there is really taking off, and so I'm focused on friendships now and connections.
Okay, sounds really good. I've lost my train of thought. That's all I was going to ask actually. So what do your family think about your involvement with the FGC?
Oh, that's an interesting question. My mom is on one hand like, okay, we're really glad that you're doing this, but also it's video games. Why is this so important?
It's video games. How many times have I heard that one?
Right? It's just a game. Like, why do you, you know? And then my stepdad is a little bit more like trying to make it realistic. Like, well, can you make a living off of this? You know, like I want you to make sure.
Oh, so he's actually got the vision.
Well,
of what it could be.
Yeah, and he's very supportive, but he's also very realistic. You know, he just wants to make sure that I am on the right track. You know, he wants to make sure like, okay, well, you probably need a degree, you know, and all that stuff. And it's just something that you have to talk with them about and make them understand. But they understand like this is a viable career choice, and like they're fully supportive. They're not negative about it in any way. I would say, yeah.
That's really nice.
I'm very lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah. No, because for some people it's complete opposite. It's like, why are you doing that? Why are you wasting time?
Yeah.
You know, so it can be very derogatory, and that can affect your confidence when you're doing it as well.
Exactly.
You feel that people are not behind you.
And it does feel like that sometimes, you know, because he gets frustrated, like, you know, like, why are you just sitting there playing games all day? But then he also understands, like, oh yeah, this is kind of what you do. So it's just, it's like a balance, you know. Yeah.
Okay. So how many events are you planning to attend this year?
I am going to CEO.
Okay.
And then I will be going to Evo. And then I will be hitting
big ones.
Yes, exactly.
Top tournaments.
I'm very excited. I was really sad that I didn't get to go to Combo Breaker, but I did just start a new job, so I didn't want to take away too soon. But we'll be going to CEO, and then right after CEO, I'll be headed to NLBC for that Wednesday following.
So outside of all that, there's another job.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of different jobs. But yeah.
So what's this other job you have?
Well, I actually work at a country club. That's like my main hustle right now.
Okay. So you're working at a country club as well.
Yes.
Wow. So what are you doing? What are you doing at the country club?
Oh, I'm just a receptionist. It's nothing fancy.
Well, a receptionist is important, you know.
Well, and then
who's going to coordinate all the stuff?
Exactly. Like who's going to transfer your call? Ginny at Oak Tree Country Club.
So, is Ginny Lou, is that your real name?
It's complicated. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys a story.
Okay.
So, my real name is Virginia Louise. And my grandmother, as soon as I was born, said, no, we're not going to call her that. We're going to call her Ginny Lou. Because it's real cute, right?
Like, she's short.
Yes, she shortened my name. So I go by both. I go by Ginny Lou or Virginia. It doesn't matter to me.
Virginia Louise.
It's kind of odd to see, to hear people call me Ginny because that's really personal. Like, it's like only close friends and people like that.
Do you prefer people to call you Virginia when they first meet you?
Yeah, until I get to know you better. But honestly, you can call me either one. Like, I mean, like I'm on Twitter as Ginny Lou. So I mean, if people call me Ginny, that's absolutely fine. It's just
I didn't even know that that wasn't your real name. So if I had just seen you at an event for the first time, the only way I would have known to call you was Ginny Lou, because that's on your Twitter.
Exactly, and that's fine. Like, I'm not picky about that at all. It just kind of takes me back sometimes, like, oh yeah, that's my name.
Yeah. You might want to have a think about changing your name on Twitter.
Maybe just to
until you win a major.
Exactly.
And then you can
that's true.
Alright, so I think that's about it for today. Thank you so much for your time. If people want to get in touch with you, how can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at EXT0PD0LL, on Instagram at EXT0PD0LL, and I will be streaming on Twitch soon. Same handle, EXT0PD0LL, everything. So yeah.
And then people can find you at CEO and Evo, right?
Yes, CEO and Evo 2017. I'll definitely be there. I'll also be at NLBC the Wednesday after CEO as well. So yeah, and then like I said, make sure to check out par.gg. They're the website that I write for. They're a really cool website trying to get players to learn together as a community. So I do write for them, news, updates, things like that. So yeah, check us out.
So that's it. Just wanted to show that we're doing big things in the fighting game community, giving access to players all around the world. I've actually got Ginny all the way from Oklahoma, just because I'm in Dallas right now. I'm taking advantage of the time, interviewing everyone I can. Thanks for joining, thanks for watching the interview. Peace.
All right.